welcome to our session on cross-border e-commerce opportunities and consumer behaviors by European marketplaces. I'm Çağdaş Yeşilbağ and I will be your moderator for this session. We have limited time, so before I start, I would like to introduce to you our guests. We have three guests today. Two of them are from Frugo, which is one of the biggest marketplaces in Europe. Phil Booker. Phil is the head of partnerships, and Hakan Tayyar, he's the chief revenue officer of Frugo. And we have Jorrit Steins. Jorrit is the CEO of the Channel Engine. Channel Engine is one of the most reliable marketplace integrators in Europe. So in this session, we have 45 minutes to complete it. We will do our best to give you the most reliable information. You can ask your own questions from the chat site at the right middle of the screen. And I would like to give the speech to Hakan for the beginning to express themselves to you.
Thank you. So my name is Hakan Tayyar. I'm Chief Revenue Officer of Frugo. Despite the name, I'm not Turkish, so apologies to those of you who sent me messages in Turkish. I'm Swedish. So Frugo is a global marketplace. We have local sites in 46 different countries, and you can access all of them via one single integration. The way Frugo operates is that we will take your content, we will translate it into 28 different languages, and then we will make your products available on localized sites in the countries you want to sell in. We take care of things like local payment options, which is an important consideration when you go international. We also handle things like foreign exchange, so you don't have to take risks on the FX. That's all handled by us. And we also manage first-line customer support, so you don't have to deal with questions from Singapore or whatever. We handle the first line of that. It's a very simple way for you to quickly get your products out across the globe to see where the demand is for your products. And hopefully we'll get a chance to get into a bit more detail about how it all works.
Then you should go, Phil.
Thank you very much indeed, Gades. My name's Phil Booker. I'm the head of partnerships at Frugo. But the key focus of my role is to develop the very important partnership network, which generates through the retailers that they introduce to Frugo, generates 40 to 50% of Frugo's GTV. We're going to be working closely with Channel Engine, but we work with maybe sort of between 12 to 15 key partnerships around Europe, all of them introducing retailers to us on a very regular basis. The reason that the partnerships are so crucial is because of the ease that it makes for retailers to integrate into Frugo. We have a very capable sales team that's very happy to work with any retailers on an individual basis. A team that's headed up by Hakan. But when it comes to the partnership side of things, for your order management, for your stock management, for your feeds to come into Frugo, if you're working closely with an integration partner such as Channel Engine, it makes the startup process so much easier. I'm really looking forward to developing many relationships and partnerships like this in Turkey. And outside the integrations, we're also very, very keen in talking to logistic partners, talking to finance partners, anyone that is working with a decent network of that would like to work with Frugo to help us expand the cross-border activity for your clients. But we're very excited about this opportunity, and we spent a bit of time just before lockdown. We would very much like to have been there today, but for now you get us on screen, and look forward to hearing from more of you. Thank you.
Jorrit, please go on.
Thank you for having us. It's a great honor to be in this conference. I'm the CEO and founder of channelengine.com. We've been into e-commerce for more than 17 years, building different kind of technology companies. We ran our own e-commerce operations, and from that own e-commerce operations, we started connecting to external sales channels, Amazon, all the local marketplaces, but we did it in a custom way. So 6 years ago, we thought that there must be a better way to do it, and that's when we started channelengine.com. So what we're doing now is scaling pretty rapidly throughout the globe, helping brands, distributors, and retailers to sell on basically on any external sales channel. Biggest ones, of course, are the Amazons, but the best-selling platforms are usually the local heroes or the specified platforms, and not everybody's competing on. So excited to share some insights in this session. Feel free to ask anything in the chat, and then we can dive into it. Gracias.
You're mute.
You're on mute. Still on mute.
Yeah. There we go. I heard something.
I just got the first question in through the chat. So he was asking, as a marketplace integrator, what are the reasons that we should use integrators, and what is the effect that Channel Engine can create? So that's a good question for me. So marketplace integrator is basically a software service platform that makes it possible to connect your own systems, your own product information, order management, stock warehousing to all other marketplaces. So instead of building your custom connections, you build one integration with us, or have a partner do it, and from there you can easily onboard to all the other platforms. And usually there's a difference between how your content is organized and how the marketplace wants your content. So that can be mapped and managed within Channel Engine, and you can also decide what to sell where, based on specific business rules and stuff like that. But most importantly, it makes sure all your stock levels are synchronized between all platforms, so you don't oversell on one platform or the other, and you have full control over your margins, and you're saving a lot of time to do it. So the effect of using it is basically a faster go-to-market. It's easier to manage many channels with less people, and it's easier to go cross-border, because we also do currency exchange rates within the platform, automatic translations, and all the things that would be a barrier to be able to sell in other countries.
And as a marketplace, I can almost second that. Anyone who is serious about selling on marketplaces will be on a number of marketplaces. Like if you're going to go into, even if you're only looking at Europe, you're probably looking at half a dozen viable marketplaces that you should be on, and maintaining individual integrations there is going to be definitely not worth it. So using a multi-channel platform is definitely the way to go. I'll pick up one of the questions that came in as well. So it's a question about what are the main requirements for opening a store on Frugo. We have a small set of requirements. So you need to have either a GTIN or an EAN or UPC or some form of unique identifier for your products so that we can advertise them for you. You need to have reasonably good data so that we can create good advertisements for your products. So good titles, rich content, image quality is going to be important, because you need to have images that are kind of up to Google's requirements. Beyond that, you also need to have products that Google allow us to advertise, since we drive a lot of our traffic from Google to your products, and if we can't advertise them on Google, then it's going to be really hard to sell any of your products. So really not particularly hard requirements. We take care of most of the complexity, so as long as you can send us an automated feed on a regular basis, we can take it from there. And like we just said, the by far easiest way of doing that is through an integration partner.
Pick up on a question that's coming regarding which categories do we as a marketplace see selling a lot of. Frugo drive majority of their traffic through paid search, of which Google is by far the most significant contributor of that. And one of our biggest searches and one of our biggest categories is fashion. Which was one of the reasons that we were very interested in working closer with Turkey, because of the strength of your textiles industry, and something that is well known within the fashion industry is the returns, which can be a problem. And Frugo actually run a policy that the returns address for our shoppers, no matter where they purchase that from, is in the retailer's own country, which means it really brings down the amount of returns that we see categories, but specifically within fashion, because it's down to the shopper. Just because if they don't like the product, they themselves actually have to physically pay for it to make its way back to the retailer in the retailer's domestic country, which makes the shopper think twice. So we see that the average returns within our fashion sector are between 7 to 8%, whereas I believe that actually the industry standard is somewhere in the mid to high teens.
Can you hear me, by the way?
We can now, yes, Kadas. Welcome back.
I exit and come back. Now the sound is okay. So before the questions, Phil, I have a questions for you. Do you have any category that you don't sell? Any restricted or unallowed categories in your marketplace?
Guns.
You can't be Swiss.
Yeah. We sell fur. We don't sell alcohol. But there are a few other categories, but pretty much everything that's mainstream that you would expect to see on a mainstream marketplace are products that we sell, and we sell regularly.
Okay. So Jor, it's you again.
Yes.
Please move on.
Yeah, sure. So what question do you have?
How many marketplaces you have? As I know, also I have experience with Channel Engine. I know they are good. You have connection with more than 20 marketplaces. So can you inform us about Turkish companies for the consumer behavior, how the marketplace is working on the system, and how the Channel Engine makes easier for us?
Yes, sure. So in the meantime, we are over 40 marketplaces, and we're constantly adding new marketplaces to go. So we've got a lot of marketplaces in Europe, throughout Europe, Eastern Europe as well. We're adding Turkey in the short run. And we also have US, Canada, Mexico, and Australia coming up. So there's a lot of expansion going on. So we can see what is working well and what is not working well. The most important part for a seller is to first start on a solid marketplace. So if you start on a platform like eBay, which is very outdated, you run into a lot of operational challenges. So it's better to go for a platform like maybe even Amazon or a local player in in Germany, Real, or go to Frugo or to WORLD.com, so a modern platform that you can easily connect to, and that is totally geared towards marketplace sales. If you look at the logistics side, that's the first part you would need to cover. You should be able to ship to the end consumer. If you're going to sell throughout Western Europe, it would be good to have 1 or 2 fulfillment hubs in different areas where you can send from, or you can use a service like Fulfilled by Amazon, which you can actually use as a multi-channel setup, so they can send it even if you have an order on Frugo or an order on Real or an order on Allego. So first, get your operations in order. Make sure you have good automation. Automation is key. So it is essential that you connect your stock levels and your product assortment to the marketplaces in a fast way. Because if you sell on multiple marketplaces at the same time and you have low inventory levels, you might sell it on one platform and then the same sale on a different platform. And then you oversold your stock, which means you have to cancel one of the orders. Marketplaces are very strict on cancellations. So if you go over 2%, then they might kick you off the platform if you have 2% cancellations where you said it was in stock. So those are important things. Try to get a fulfillment hub, for instance, in the Netherlands or in Germany that can service all of Western Europe. Make sure your delivery times are set in the right way so you can actually make the promise. So it's better to set them a little bit longer and actually make these promises count instead of delivering too late, because otherwise you get bad reviews, etc. There is a lot of opportunity. I see sellers doing very well on some local marketplaces, even better than on Amazon, because Amazon has more than 600 million products. So it's sometimes hard to compete. Try 1 or 2 platforms first and then expand from there. Make sure your operations is okay, and then you can add many more channels. So we actually have a client that has 2 people in their marketplace team, and they manage almost 30 different marketplaces from one single entity.
Okay. Now, Phil, so you are the head of partnership. So what do you suggest us to our potential sellers? What is the key factors of becoming a successful seller? You have experience in this world, so your advices will be useful for Frugo and also other marketplaces, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'd reiterate a number of things that Jorrit said. Particularly if you're selling cross-border for the first time, that shipping piece is so absolutely essential. As a retailer, you may well already be well versed in selling your products direct to consumers in Turkey, and you'll be working with a domestic Turkish logistic partner. But whether or not that partner can give you the best rates but may be debatable. So the way that it works with Frugo is that we drive majority of our traffic is driven through paid search. So we display a product, and if the product is, or Google will display a product, and if that product is what the consumer is looking for, and is at a good price, then they're going to click on that and come through to Frugo. At which point they then get the opportunity of seeing what the shipping prices are like. Now, if those shipping prices are disproportionate to the cost of the goods, so if you're selling a $50 product and your domestic carrier has told you that it's going to cost $30 to send that to the United States, or it's going to cost wherever the shop might be, then that's going to be a massive negative to the shopper purchasing. So looking into that part is absolutely crucial. The other things, I mean, I mentioned earlier that fashion is a big area for us. So we need to have products that are either branded or what we say are trending. That there is going to be a big demand in search engines for those products, because the typical Frugo customer does not start their journey at the Frugo marketplace in the UK or in Sweden or in Germany. They started on a search engine, and so we need to have decent demand for the product. And if it's not branded, if it's something that's popular, but it's not a branded product, then the data, the quality of the data that we get is absolutely essential, which I'm sure Jorik would also agree with. So if you've got good product, good imagery, if you've got good shipping, and there is a demand out there, then there's every chance that that Frugo will be able to find the shoppers that you're looking for in the countries that we sell in.
So can we say if we provide the right product with the right content, I mean visual and written content, a search engine friendly content, Frugo will handle the rest of it for us?
Yes, we do. All we require, Håkon touched on this in his introduction, all we require is a single data feed, which can come in through a partner like Channel Engine in one language, which can be in Turkish, in one currency, which can be in Turkish domestic currency or another EU currency. And Frugo will do all the rest. We do all the translation. We handle all of the foreign exchange. We always take the payment from the shopper in their native language, and we always pay you, the retailer, in your native, sorry, the shopper in their native currency, and the retailer in your. I think the big headline here for Frugo and for our retailers is that 85% of all of the sales on Frugo they are from a shopper in one country buying from a retailer in another. We make that piece so easy, and that was exactly the core focus and the vision of the company when we set out, and that is what we're achieving.
I see. So, Hakan, so Frugo is active, still working in 46 countries, as I know. So, how the system works? Can we choose the countries we sell? Is every country has their own onboarding system, or all the things are handling by you?
It's a single feed, so we will take your products in your language. We will translate them to, I think it's 28 different languages at this point. We handle as Phil said, the currency conversion. And we maintain the localized sites in 46 countries. So as a seller, it's no more complicated to list on Frugo than any other, even a local marketplace like Hepsiburada or Trendyol or whatever it may be. We handle all the complexity. That's kind of what Frugo was built to do from the ground up. That was the original vision of the platform, and that's what we're executing on. And in terms of where we are, we cover, because there were a couple of questions on that, we cover all the Western European countries, several of the Eastern European. We have several countries in the Middle East, and several, obviously North America, so we have US and Canada, and several Asian countries as well. I posted a link on the chat to where you can find a complete list. But what I would say, if you wanted to try out the European market broadly, Frugo is going to be the easiest way for you to get a presence in every country. The UK is our biggest market in terms of sales, but Switzerland is virtually as big as the UK. And of the top 10 countries, the distribution is pretty equal between them. And what we find is we do really well in several of the countries where there's a lot of purchasing power, but no really strong local marketplace. So in the top 10, you'll find Denmark, Sweden, Norway. I mentioned Switzerland. We do really well in the Netherlands, despite Bold being very strong there. And obviously the UK, which does really well. So it's an easy way of getting into Europe quickly. And it may be that you discover that your brand does extremely well in Sweden, then you can start looking at what does it take to expand more into Sweden. What can I do for distribution? Are there local marketplaces, maybe even local distributors that you could work with? But in terms of trying out the market, Frugo is going to be the fastest way for you to do that.
I see. So the main issue for us to pick the right carrier for our products then.
Yeah, and I mean, WorldEF have partners on the logistics side that you can work with. I know we've met with the guys at PTS, and they certainly have good services to do that. And I would say, being geographically located where you are, I don't think you need to take a step initially by setting up distribution centers in Europe. Sorry, but I'm kind of contradicting you now. But you can. So our demands, if you will, are you need to fulfill an order, as in ship it within 24 hours, and you need to deliver it within 14 days. And because of where Turkey is located, getting a product to Ireland in 14 days is not a problem. So you can start by shipping from your local warehouse to see where the demand is. And obviously, if you get overwhelmed, then there are plenty of third-party logistics providers, particularly in the Netherlands, that can help you out.
Yeah, I would like to add on top of that, we have quite a few logistics partners. What I usually advise is to keep most of your products in your own warehouse and ship from there, but to do your fast movers, just send them to the third-party logistics provider that is already connected to Channel Engine. So it's very easy. It's like fulfillment by Amazon, but then you can use it for all marketplaces at once. And the shipping rates are lower if you send it in bulk to such a warehouse. And they can even ship to end consumers in the Netherlands, UK, Germany, France within a day. So that is good for your seller rating, so your customer satisfaction. So I would definitely advise you to do that.
I see a very interesting opportunity here. You can fulfill your orders safely and fast, and it may be cheaper. Joris, you are the next, by the way. So you have 17 years of technology and e-commerce experience. So I want to take your suggestions for our entrepreneurs. How should they start?
How should they start? It depends on whether it's a real starter. Are you starting with a brand and want to sell internationally? Then I would definitely advise to start with good automation. Because with automation, you don't have to scale up with that many people, and you have a higher customer satisfaction because you're avoiding errors in manual handling, you're avoiding delays and stuff like that. So basically every company I've seen in the last 17 years, whether it's a fulfillment company or it's a retail company, the companies doing best are highly automated. To give you an example, there's a physical retail chain in Europe. They sell shoes, and they have such a high degree of automation that they're doing extremely well online and replenishing automatically in the different stores, and they're selling on the marketplace and still make a good profit, while other retailers are struggling to make a profit because they automate so well. They're doing extremely well. One of the examples there is it's a physical retailer, and they hired 5 data scientists to do automated forecasts of purchasing power. So they're so good at optimizing everything that it's going extremely well, and the bottom line serves it. So always make sure you have latest technology. The companies that we see that want to sell online direct to consumer that are struggling and spending a lot of money have very outdated ERP systems. They haven't invested in technology, and that's why they're losing the game. I see them go bankrupt. So make sure you automate well.
I see. Thank you very much. So Phil, as we know that you paid a visit to Presidency of the Republic of Turkey Investment Office, although there is a pandemic situation and everything has stopped. What is the purpose of Frugo in Turkey? Can you give us a piece of good news or some hope?
Yes. Yes, yes, we can. One of the reasons that we identified Turkey was for the sheer quality of products that Turkish retailers sell, and also the fact that these products are very, very affordable. And because what we would like to do within the next 12 months is to look into launching an international marketplace that is dedicated to purely selling Turkish product to the Frugo global audience. So we have this is something that Frugo started doing last year. We launched the first of our white label sites. These are set main Frugo marketplace that are dedicated to selling specific categories. But we've really identified that if we have the ability of showcasing Turkish product to the wider to the global shopping audience, we think there is going to be a very, very high success for that. These products that will be on this this dedicated Turkish international marketplace will also feature on the main Frugo marketplace. But this is something we're excited about. This is something that we went to the presidential offices to. And yes, conversations have stalled a little bit due to the current travel restrictions. But as soon as we are allowed back, we will be back to continue and pick up on that, and look forward to making that a very successful project, aside from what we're going to be doing with all Turkish retailers on the main marketplace.
Oh, I see. I see. Thank you very much. So, Hakan, this is one of the most frequently asked questions: how to manage logistics, and the return part of the logistics of e-commerce is quite important. What is your advice to our sellers?
Yeah, there's been a long discussion on the chat about this already as well. So Frugo is a little bit different in that we expect the consumer to ship back to the seller wherever that may be. What I would say is you need to understand what your, I guess, high margin products are. I mean, there are some things we discussed furniture on the chat. There are some products that just really are hard to ship. Like, you're not going to sell a couch or a bookcase to Singapore from Turkey. That's very unlikely to happen with those shipping costs. But look at how you can negotiate a good deal with whatever logistics company you're working with. So you figure out what countries can you get good enough rates that your high margin products can still be sold profitably. And yeah, and obviously think about what are the return rates in the different countries. If you're in apparel, Germany is going to have a significantly higher return rate than most other European countries. Something to be aware of. Yeah, it's simply striking the right balance between margin and logistics costs.
So the margin, the profit margin of the product is quite important then. So we should calculate the return rate, we should calculate the logistics, the commission fees, etc. So we should pick the right product. Everything is starting with the product, right?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, if you have a product that no one wants to buy or can afford to buy, then you're not going to be selling it no matter what we do to promote it. So yeah, you need to understand where you can be price competitive, or at least comparable to other products. And if you are competing with products that have similar cheap stuff coming in from China, then you need to think about how do you position the quality of your product to differentiate as well.
Yeah, and I also agree, and that's also the key what we use in Channel Engine. So as a seller, you can filter on margin. So instead of selling all the products out there, you can select a country and a channel and determine whether the margin is high enough to make it worthwhile. Also, in terms of returns, there are some good services. We're partnering up with a couple of companies that have return hubs in different areas. So you can send them that return address. They bulk all the returns, give you a signal. It can even be done through Channel Engine. So refund can be done, and then they bulk the products and send it as a bulk back to your warehouse instead of having all these separate items sent to you, which makes it again cheaper and more convenient to the end consumer.
So your suggestion, Jorrit, for let's say big products like furnitures to deal with the fulfillment centers in Europe, and fulfill the orders from there. And as I know, furniture is a high profit margin, one of the high profit margin categories, so it can cover the expenses, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Most of the guys asking the same questions. What are the best-selling categories? This is a frugal question, but I wanted to start with Jorrit because he knows almost 40 marketplaces.
Yeah, true. Best-selling items. Fashion is leading the game. Home, living, and garden is second, and then there's a whole bunch of other categories. So during the lockdown of COVID-19, we saw fashion drop down a bit, and a lot of other categories go up, like sporting equipment and nutrition, groceries, stuff like that. But still, fashion is high up in the ranks, and home and decoration is second. So I'm curious what Frugo sees.
Yeah, because of the kind of the breadth of our marketplace, we look kind of like e-commerce in general. So clothing, shoes, accessories is our biggest category. Electronics does pretty well. A lot of home and garden, sports, and like you said, with the lockdown, it was fascinating watching what categories spiked like in the initial period, because the first thing that spiked was like panic buying. People bought toilet paper and hand sanitizers and face masks. Yeah. And then they realized that, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be home for a long time. So people started buying a lot of home office equipment. So we started selling computer screens, cables, keyboards, that kind of thing, and home exercise equipment. So a lot of exercise bands and barbells and things like that. And then as it kind of carried on and the weather got better, we sold a lot of home and garden, lawn, outdoor toys and games, trampolines, that kind of thing. Even inflatable swimming pools were selling really well. So, but I'd say in general, Frugo is reflective of e-commerce in general.
Yeah, so it's very, very broad. Many categories can sell well. So I hear a lot of industries saying, well, my products will not sell well online. So we've heard it for the last 15 years. Everything sells online. So the most expensive thing I've seen sell online without any interaction was a very expensive piano, 50,000 euros. Was just bought by credit card, and nobody ever called. It's just they shipped it off. So everything can be sold online, definitely. And if you look at China, you even have car vending machines and all kinds of crazy stuff. Everything will be sold online.
Yeah, I think what this crisis will mean is that more people will shift online for things they never thought of. Like, for example, people come to Frugo to buy flour because they can't find bread in their store, so they're baking at home. And like no one before would have thought of buying a bag of flour online. But suddenly the behavior is shifting. So I think we'll see the volumes drop down, but it's never going to get anywhere near. It's going to be much higher than where we were before this.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know. It is same in Europe, but in Turkey we have a statistic like do-it-yourself products sales increased 120%.
Yeah.
So people are at home and they try to redecorate their home or etc. or their car also.
Yep.
These kind of products are selling like crazy.
And also entertainment, board games, everything in-house sold like crazy. I agree with the webcams and stuff like that. Totally sold out. Prices increased for the first time. I saw price increase of specific items by a lot of margin.
We had a funny Dutch story, actually. There was on May 1st, there was a Dutch professor on TV in the Netherlands talking about Corona and treatment. And he mentioned that there was a specific antioxidant and sort of supplement that could possibly help with the recovery from COVID. And obviously everyone who watched immediately went on their phone and started Googling for this supplement and bought everything they could find. And so we had 5 sellers on the platform that all had a huge spike in this really obscure supplement. And I guess the point of that is that if they hadn't been on Frugo, they would never have known, because none of them were Dutch. So that they were all either, well, 2 of them at least were British, but because they were on Frugo, they were there when people started Googling, and they could profit on that instant spike that we got out of the Netherlands.
Nice.
Okay, so one more questions from here. So people are asking about how can I say the type of the seller. So is there any necessity of that seller needs to cover for you to sell on Frugo? Only the LLCs or only the corporate companies, individual sellers? What are the basics of to start to sell in Frugo?
Go for it.
Okay. We are a very easy entry. We'll do a little. We will do some a few pre-qualification questions to find out the amount of SKUs that you've got, whether or not you can, because we have a minimum requirement of shipping to 2 international territories. You need to have registered for sales tax. You don't need to be registered for sales tax in the different countries that we're selling into. Which makes this different from a number of other EU marketplaces. If you get near the sales threshold within a country such as Germany, if you sold over 100,000 euros, then that will be a requirement. Håkan mentioned earlier that every retailer needs to have GTINs or EAN codes, but essentially the registration process is very straightforward. And one of the other very refreshing things is that every single seller will get themselves their own account manager. We're not in place. There will always be somebody there that you can email back, that will get back to and answer your questions through the registration process, also through the integration process. But essentially, it's very straightforward to register and sell on Frugo. Is there anything you would want to add to that, Håkan?
No, we have 55 seconds. So
yeah, we already finished. Thank you very much for your time, guys. I really thank to you. By the way, our attendees, please transfer your questions via email that we provided over the chat. We will ask for you to Hakan, Jorrit, and Field. We will go on asking.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Thas.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for listening.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.